Josefina.
Buenos dias! I'm Josefina Montoya. This is our family sala. It's used for so many things. It is here that we gather around the fire every evening to mend and sew and talk. Our family altar is here too. We come here every morning, noon, and evening to pray. If swallows build nests on your roof, it is good luck. It must be true, because they built nests and they brought Tia Dolores to live with us. Perhaps it is even more luck if they choose our blankets to help build their nests. Sewing our woven strips together into blankets is difficult, but we entertain ourselves with jokes and riddles. Laughter certainly helps make the work go faster. Mama's colcha embroidery was in terrible condition when we brought it home from the church. My sisters and I and Tia Dolores spent days cleaning and mending it. We weren't sure we could do it, but when we finished, the cloth was as beautiful as I remember. That's my memory box. I keep things that help me remember Mama in it. Mama loved the beautiful blue color of this swallow's feather. That's why I keep it in my memory box.
New Mexican settlers built adobe bancos, or low benches, into the walls of their homes, just as their ancestors in Spain had done. These built-in seats meant they didn't need as much furniture as we have today. Josefina was born on March 19th, the feast day of San Jose, or Saint Joseph, and she was named for him. He is the patron saint of families. Each year, Josefina and her family had a special celebration on his feast day. Small retablos, or pictures of saints painted on flat pieces of wood, were sometimes taken along on journeys. A traveler could slip the retablo into this handmade leather retablo holder and carry it with him. In New Mexico, fireplaces were located in corners of rooms. Each room had at least one fireplace to keep it warm. They filled the home with the delightful scent of piñon wood burning. In New Mexico, fireplaces were located in
Our cocina, or kitchen, is the busiest room in the rancho. All the women spend many hours here. I don't mind, because I enjoy the bustle and talking.
Every house had at least one mano and metate for grinding corn, chilies, and other foods. To make flour for tortillas, a handful of dried corn was placed on the flat metate stone. A woman or girl would then rub back and forth with the smaller mano stone until the corn was ground into coarse flour. Soups and stews were often cooked in a copper kettle. Copper pots were common items in New Mexican kitchens.
I keep my goat sombrita warm on the shepherd's bed over the hearth. Whenever a lamb is orphaned or sick, a shepherd will bring it here. We feed the animals milk so they will grow strong. We cook tortillas on this comal, or griddle. Carmen the cook says she'll teach me how to do everything.
Strings of dried herbs, chilies, garlic, and fruit slices were hung about the kitchen where they would be handy for use in cooking during the winter. Dried corn straight off the roasted cob made a sweet snack called chicos. Tables were used as a work area, not for dining. When families gathered for meals, they would often sit on built-in benches or on cushions set on the floor. Tables were used as a work
The courtyard is where my sisters Ana, Francisca, and Clara and I do the chores Mama taught us. They remind us of her. We sing songs and tell stories she enjoyed too. Tia Dolores, Mama's sister, says that is one way the heart heals its sorrows. I think she is right.
New Mexicans often traded for baskets made by the nearby Pueblo Indians. This one was made from willow, a tree that grows along stream beds and has flexible branches. Chilies had many uses. They eased pain, helped wounds heal, and cured frostbite. Canteens were made from clay and used traditional colors and designs. Canteens were an important item because people needed to carry water with them in New Mexico's hot, dry climate. A malacate is a handheld spindle used to spin raw wool into yarn.
Oh, that horrible goat, Florecita! She eats everything. She ate the flowers I planted with Mama's seeds. But they did grow back, just like Tia Dolores said they would. The Santa Fe market is where we trade and barter for goods for our rancho. I love all the sounds, smells, and new things. I hear new languages and see people in costumes I never knew existed. I don't know which is more interesting, the goods or the merchants who sell them.
For nearly 3 centuries, the Palace of the Governors was the seat of government for New Mexico. Built in 1610, the adobe building still stands. It is the oldest public building in the United States. American trade in Santa Fe began in the fall of 1821, just after Mexico won its independence from Spain. For the first time, foreign traders were allowed to do business in New Mexico. Soon, more and more Americans were coming to Santa Fe each summer with wagon loads of goods to trade.
My sisters and I traded our blankets for a gift for Papa. Can you guess what it was? A violin!
The priest was a much respected member of any New Mexican community, and often the only educated man in a small town. Villagers came to him for marriages, baptisms, and sometimes to read letters they'd received. Josefina.
Francisca is making a dress for the fandango, the party we'll have when the caravan arrives. There will be music, dancing, and lots of laughing and shouting.
Jerga cloths cover the floor. These are inexpensive, practical cloths that were woven on the rancho from naturally colored wool in simple checked patterns. The blanket on the wall brightens the room and adds a layer of protection from the cold. Weavers in the Rio Grande Valley, where Josefina lived, often made blankets with striped patterns like this one. Trunks like these came from an area of Mexico called Michoacan, known for its beautiful furniture. Mexican craftsmen modeled the design from imported Chinese furniture.
I keep a piece of lavender soap because Mama loved its delicate smell, and so do I.
San Isidro is the patron saint of New Mexican farmers. According to legend, he would empty sacks of grain in the winter to feed starving birds. Then, through a miracle, the sacks would be refilled with grain the following spring. In New Mexico, fireplaces were located in corners of... The sala's floor is packed dirt mixed with ox blood to give it a hard finish. Even with this finish, the floor got very dusty. One of a girl's many chores was to lay the dust using an escoba, a broom made of grass dipped in a dish of water.
Everyone's busy making all kinds of delicious food for the fandango. I'm helping Anna, who's running the kitchen. But I also make sure I get to nibble some of the delicious treats.
The chocolatera was a copper pot used to make hot chocolate. The chocolatera sits on a trivet over a pile of hot coals. When the hot chocolate was ready, cooks used a special wooden stirrer called a molinillo to make the chocolate frothy. Soups and stews were often cooked in a copper kettle. Copper pots were common items in New Mexican kitchens. Almost every room in a New Mexico settler's home had a statue or painting of a saint or other religious figure. Artists called santeros often traveled from village to village, carving and painting these religious images. Food, dishes, and silver were stored in a tall wooden cabinet called a trastero. Trasteros were beautifully decorated with hand carving and colorful paints.
Now that traders from the United States have reached Santa Fe, the variety of goods is amazing. Shoes, hats, boots, toys, jewelry. I don't know what to look at first.
The two-wheeled cart, or carreta, was the most common vehicle used in New Mexico during the 1700s and early 1800s. The wheels were made from giant slabs of cottonwood trees that screeched loudly as they rolled. Women and girls used their rebozos, or shawls, to shield their faces from sun and wind. Mountain men, who were usually French or American, lived alone in the rugged mountains, trapping animals such as beaver for their pelts. By 1824, beavers had nearly disappeared from New Mexico streams. Pueblo women brought pottery and crops such as melons and pumpkins to the market. They traded with the Americans for cloth and iron cookware and tools. American trade in Santa Fe began in the fall of 1821. just after Mexico won its independence from Spain. For the first time, foreign This New Mexican landowner is dressed in a traditional outfit of a short jacket and pants that button up on the side. Men left the pants unbuttoned partway up, showing their long white underpants underneath. The church was the most important building in New Mexican towns. People went there daily to pray and for church services. Important citizens were buried right in the church.
The caravan is here. Its wagons are always filled with treasures and surprises. But the most important thing is it brought back our grandfather, Abuelito. He is filled with amazing and wonderful stories to tell us all.
Cooks did their baking outside in large adobe ovens called hornos. To heat the horno, a wood fire was built inside the oven. After the wood turned to coals and heated the horno to just the right temperature, all the coals were removed. Then the inside was wiped clean with a damp cloth, and the food was sealed inside to cook. Large pottery jars were carried down to the stream each morning and filled with water. Back in the cocina, families used gourd dippers to get a refreshing drink of water. Large pottery jars were carried down to the stream each
Clara and I are too young to dance with the fandango, but we did peek in the window.
Burros were owned by all families to help them carry heavy packs. A burro could carry up to half its own weight. Learn about the deep blue fabric for Josefina's skirt came from far south in Mexico. The dye came from a plant called indigo. Indigo leaves are soaked and treated to produce a green solution. When yarn soaked in the solution dries, it turns blue. Josefina's soft cotton night shift had long sleeves to keep her warm through the cool New Mexico nights. Josefina's elegant, high-waisted or empire-style dress was modeled after dresses worn by fashionable women in Europe. Josefina's camisa with ruffled sleeves was a style popular throughout Mexico. She wore it with a skirt trimmed in shiny black ribbon. Tooling, or decorating leather, was a very traditional Spanish craft. Metal stamps were used to create the fancy designs like those on Josefina's vest. A sarape was a large woolen blanket, often with a slit in the middle so it could be slipped over the head. Josefina used pretty cotton calico cloth from the United States to make a high-waisted dress to wear at Papa's wedding to Tia Dolores. A cotton camisa, or long white blouse, and a skirt were everyday wear for women and girls in New Mexico. The deep blue fabric for Josefina's straw hat with its braided horsehair band came from the United States. In her sarape and wool felt hat, Josefina was ready for any weather. A mantilla is a lace scarf or veil held in place with a fancy hair comb. Josefina's straw hat. Josefina carefully tended the flower garden that her mother had planted. When she wanted to give Tia Dolores a special gift, she could think of nothing better than the beautiful flowers. There was no electricity in 1824. Josefina kept a candlestick by her bed to light her way if she needed anything at night. Josefina was thrilled when Clara gave her Nina, the doll their mother had made years before. She carried Nina with her on Christmas Eve. For Josefina's birthday, the sala was decorated with a branch of apricot blossoms from Josefina's favorite tree. Mama's fan came all the way from Mexico City in a caravan. It was very delicate. Josefina felt honored to carry it. American traders had just begun coming to New Mexico. At the Santa Fe market, Josefina saw the American flag for the first time. The windows on Josefina's lantern were made of mica, a see-through mineral. On special occasions, Josefina wore these delicate leather slippers. Josefina's beautiful silk slippers were handed down to her from Clara. She would save the slippers herself once she outgrew them and pass them on to another girl in the family. They were used only for dancing. Josefina's sturdy, two-toned leather riding boots were an American style. Settlers in New Mexico adopted the shoe style of the local Pueblo Indians for everyday wear. Tewas, or buckskin moccasins, were sold for $1 a pair, or about $1. On special occasions, Josefina wore changed pattern. This dress has not been saved yet. Are you sure you want to leave the dress?
I am so pleased with this fine outfit you have made. Why, these clothes are so lovely. Thank you. I feel truly lucky that you have made me such enchanting clothes. For this elegant creation, I thank you. What a colorful outfit you've dressed me in. I dreamed of a dress like this. Now you've made my dream come true. If I wore this fine dress to the Santa Fe market, people would think I was a princess. This dress you have made for me is as splendid as the sunrise over the rancho. My sisters will all want you to make dresses as pretty as this one for them. Muchas gracias for this beautiful dress you've made for me. Muchas gracias is thank you in Spanish. This dress is so splendid, it makes me want to have a fandango of my own. I think my sisters might get jealous when they see the dress you've made for me.